All right, welcome to the Robert Show, everyone. I'm super excited for today's guest. I'll not reveal the name just now, but we'll be talking about the challenges and opportunities that she sees in data and analytics space. We will cover some of the upcoming at scale product innovations, and finally talk about how Gen AI is going to change the BI and analytics space. So at least now you know who the guest is, from which company it's from at scale, and one of my very good friends and a true leader in the data science and AI space. Let's bring up Elif Tuktuk, Vice President at Scale. Elif, welcome to the Robert Show. It's such a pleasure to have you on.
Yeah, hi Rohit. It's great to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Awesome. I'm pretty excited because I know for a fact where there are a lot of updates from AtScale, and I'm eager to learn more about it. But before we get into all the updates, can you tell us a little about yourself, just for our audience? Not like you're a new face to the data community; people know you pretty well. But just a short intro would be interesting.
Yeah. Sure. So I'm the vice president of product at Scale. I've been with Scale for a year now, more than a year now, and I spent almost 2 decades, in the data and analytics space, and I'm passionate about how make the self analytics and analytics adoption increased in organizations. And before joining at Scale, I was with Click, solving that problem under the Click umbrella. Yeah, I love working with data and analytics, and now the whole generative AI. Again, I spend a lot of time on the augmented analytics, just using machine learning and AI to generate insights for the users. I think we are at a super exciting stage, with all the technologies coming in, but we need to apply the technology to the right problems. So, yeah.
Awesome. This is pretty interesting. Obviously, when you started with at scale, I've been following your journey and what you built across, and super excited for what's next that's coming up. But Leaf, it's been close to more than a year you mentioned, and uh, could you tell us a little about what you see as the main challenges at organizations for data and analytics adoption? And what questions do you get from your customers on a daily basis? Because I know for a fact where you work with customers day in and out, and you try to get the product to a level where they kind of feel good about it, but also take requirements ad hoc and get it implemented.
Yeah. So you're right, Rabbit. As I mentioned, it has been more than a year with at Scale, and you know how they say, like, time flies when you're having fun.
Right.
So when I talk to organizations and prospects, there are really like three main groups of questions that I get. Number one question is how to achieve agility and control with the increasingly distributed nature of analytics architectures. So I see the growing adoption of multi-cloud and data mesh in
Hmm.
organizations. This really makes analytics architectures even more distributed. So this diversity is challenging for data and analytics program owners because they don't know how to govern and manage this new paradigm. And this is where I see the need for a federated analytics product focused architectures to enable the needed agility and control. And
Hmm.
the second other most common questions that I get is in the analytics FinOps and how to balance the return on investment on analytics investments and overall cloud costs. And finally, of course, generative AI. The data and analytics program owners, the community, are looking ways to use generative AI to improve the augmented analytic capabilities to make insights more accessible to their users by allowing more automated insights, generation of code and data.
This is very interesting. Thanks for sharing that with our audience. That also brings me to another interesting question. Obviously we'll come back to Gen AI, but let's first focus on what you said. Analytics product focused architecture. I see a lot of discussions on data products and data mesh, but you said analytics product. is the analytics product and the data product the same thing, or is it something different? What do you mean by that?
So, well, I think as technology providers, we often make this mistake. We find a cool term or a name, and then everyone starts using the term. Analytics product or a data product, or let's call it a banana.
Mm-hmm.
Let's first define the user problem that we should solve. So, I think the biggest user problem in the data and analytics space today is the division of labor between the data producers and data
Mm-hmm.
consumers. The data producers are responsible for understanding how to extract, load, and transform data. So the data producers are experts on working with data, but they are not
Mm-hmm.
experts with understanding the context of that data. And
Okay.
this context is changes from organization to organization, from business case to business case. And the context is continuous and agile because as the
Right.
business environment changes, the context is also changes. And in the meantime, the data consumers are responsible for understanding how this data can be used to gather insights. And the overall goal for both of these groups is to drive value from data and ultimately drive business decisions. So
Mm-hmm.
the problem is, while these two groups really work together to achieve this common goal, there's a huge gap between them, and there's a big process. And I
Yeah.
call this gap is a data divide. So in this whole process, the data is changing hands many times, and this process is time consuming, it is labor
Right.
intensive, and causes a lot of inconsistencies and lack of single version of truth in the data definitions.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where the data products or analytics products focused architectures come in. They help overcome the gap between the producers and consumers by empowering the consumers to do some of the work that is previously done by producers.
Mm-hmm. Okay, this is pretty interesting. I know you also work very closely, and I have been working hard on the new product innovations. I'm definitely looking for some amazing insights and some amazing updates for sure that you are able to share with us. But how have you been focusing on closing this gap? Like you mentioned a little about it, but can you get more into the detail?
Yeah, sure. And Ravid, I know you have been interviewing and talking to many thought leaders in data analytics space, and I think everyone is aware of this gap. And from day one, at
Mhm.
Scale's North Star was to enable a hub and spoke approach when it comes
Right.
to creating data products. And again, you have talked to Dave Mariani, our co-founder and
Yeah.
CTO, several times, and he started his journey to pioneer this new approach, a hub and spoke or
Right.
franchise approach for data product creation to bridge the gap between these two distinct groups.
Hmm.
So last fall, we gathered in a room and started whiteboarding on, and then start really thinking about how to apply his vision to this new paradigm that we have been talking in terms of those distributed analytics architectures, multi-cloud, and decentralized teams, and arrived at what we believe is the next chapter for empowering business units for data product creation with federated governance.
Yeah. I think these, obviously the hub and spoke and have, spoke to Dave a lot about this thing. And this is such a great approach. But definitely would love to know a little more about this in, obviously the federated analytics that you're talking about in the uh, if I've heard right, obviously a little about, I know off air as well, we spoke a little about analytics mesh. So would love to learn a little about that as well. So can you share more about it, please?
Yeah, yeah. So, of course, I would love to talk about it. We have been spending the, couple year now,
Yeah.
um, just like really focusing on this problem and to innovate. So, we wanted to build a framework to enable federated analytics product creation in organizations by actively involving the business units. So this groundbreaking initiative is what we call
Hmm.
as the analytics mesh. So let me explain what an analytics mesh is. I think by now you have been part of many conversations, and most of the people and
Yeah.
audience are very familiar with the concept of data mesh. So data mesh is a domain-oriented framework to create curated and self-contained combination of data, metadata, semantics, and templates. So analytics mesh is a similar framework, but the difference is it applies the same principles of data mesh to data definitions. So what I'm seeing with data mesh, although it's an awesome framework and organizations are using it, the challenge that I'm realizing with the customers that I'm talking to is when they apply data mesh, it creates a governance problem, because then again, going back to this all decentralized teams, they all do their own transformation, and maybe they end up usually different versions of the metrics and dimensions. And the other
Right.
thing with data mesh or data products, it's usually, it's a self-contained combination of
Yeah.
data, metadata. So, and I've seen at customers that leads to creation of data extracts or data silos, and you don't want to have that, right? Because most organizations have started their awesome journey moving the data to cloud. It's the gravity of the data, and if you are centralizing data on cloud or multi-cloud, you want to keep the data at the source and have a framework that you can enable reusability, or also enable the still the domain oriented the business units with the creation of their analytics or data products by leaving
Mhm.
the data in the place, but also making sure that there's a federated governance.
Yeah, I think these are fantastic insights. Elif. Whenever I hear you around these topics, I always learn a lot in analytics mesh. I know I've seen you very closely working in this space, in working on this since, or maybe a year. In You've come a long way, so can't wait to definitely see many more things in this space, that in many more announcements that you're gonna make real soon. So looking forward to that. But can you also tell us a little more about what do you mean by semantic object? Because I'm pretty sure a lot of the audience listening to us would love to get a little insight into what it is.
Yeah, of course. So with the analytics mesh, the framework provides composable and reusable semantic objects.
Right.
Uh, so great question. Like, what's the semantic object? I think everyone is already familiar with the semantic object. It's basically, think about a metric like customer churn, sales, or a dimension like customer time, warehouse, and the relationship between them, the connection. So basically, any component of the logical representation of the analytics ready data is a semantic object. So
Hmm.
within this paradigm, and what we are going to enable is, imagine every metric and a dimension becoming its own object, like object-oriented approach, um, and they all become reusable and composable, but with governance. So
Yeah.
I always think, I'm kind of like I've been thinking a lot of this problem. So like, I always think now lately about these composable plug and play semantic objects as
Right.
Lego building blocks.
Hmm. Oh, I think first of all, good wow Lego. That is my feeling, because Lego is something which is very close to me. I've been, data and Lego kind of goes hand to hand, and it is something which is pretty interesting. So, have you created a framework as the Lego bricks or analytics or data product, something like that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So as you said, I think every human being, like, maybe not everyone, but like, in during the childhood, we all played with the Lego.
Lego, yeah.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So, Robert, I've been also like a Lego fan since I was a
Oh
kid.
wow,
Uh,
awesome.
yeah, I mean, because like playing with Lego always inspired my creativity. And as I
Yep,
grow in my career, I was dreamed about having a paradigm where we can enable the business users
yep,
to kind of have the, as you said, the Lego bricks of the data that they can, plug and play together.
yeah,
and then create their own data products, but with governance.
Hmm.
So and I don't know if you know this, Ravit, Lego is actually named after a Danish phrase, and I don't speak Danish, so uh,
Neither
like
me.
like it comes from leg goat. I'm pretty sure I'm not pronouncing it right, but in
Mhm.
Danish that phrase means play well.
Oh
So
wow.
with Analytics Mesh, we are enabling the business units to play well with data with these governed, easily versionable, plug and play data definitions. Now the business units can really innovate with data and create their own analytics or data products, but by making sure that the governance, the federated governance, is being in place.
Wow, I was always inspired with Legos, but now I kind of feel kind of inspired with the Lego bricks of analytics and data products as well. Uh, do you, by any chance, have any example that you can share with our audience around this? If yes, it would be interesting to hear more about it.
Yeah, so let's talk about a practical example.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say that your organization has a central data team or center of excellence, and this central data team has defined what a time and a customer dimension is. Because, like every organization, when they enable their users with data, they want to make sure that they all use the same time definition. Like they analyze the data by the same definition of a quarter and the same definition of customer. And then also, let's say that the center of excellence has also defined the metric definitions, like what is a customer churn, how to calculate customer churn and sales. So that is kind of the central part of it, right? It is the control and the base definitions for those. The metrics and the dimensions are being done. Now, when the central data team has defined those, they can actually publish those to a common semantic objects repository. So now let's say that the marketing department decides to use a slightly different definition for a customer churn for a time period
Mm-hmm.
for a campaign. Because as we have been talking since the beginning, right? The business is live, environment is changing, and for a specific campaign, they just want to have a little bit different definition for customer churn. And that's okay. That is the agility and flexibility that the business units needs. And that's why we have been talking about this data mesh concept for over a couple of years now. So with this analytics mesh, or with this common repository that is supported with this analytics mesh, now the marketing department can actually get to the repository and version the definition of the customer churn. So then, and that on that version that they are using, they
Yeah.
can slightly change the calculation, and that is okay, because the analytics mesh framework is going to enable the governance to provide the visibility who's using what version of the metric, when they have changed it, and why they have changed it. And
Wow.
they will start able to use it. And maybe this marketing department also created the a dimension for campaign, because none of the other business units are experts on the definition of campaign, right? Marketing
Hmm.
knows the definition of a campaign, so they should be very easily create that definition. Now they slightly changed the definition of customer churn. They have created a new campaign dimension, and of course they are going to use the common definition, the standard definition of time and a customer. Now they can start analyzing and asking business questions for what is their customer churn for a campaign, for a customer, for the last quarter. So that is the beauty of this Lego-like approach, where the
Yeah.
business units can play with the data and they can use the base common definitions and
Yeah.
they can create their own version, and then the system automatically is going to provide all of the governance that is needed to provide visibility. So you see, these objects are composable, versionable, and governed. So with this framework, it's okay for the business units to create their own definitions and then really become innovative with the speed of the business to create those to create their own data products.
Okay, this is very cool and great explanation. Thanks for that example. And it kind of, obviously, being a marketer out there, obviously it connects with me pretty well. So thanks for that, Lee. But not only just that, when you're talking about this, so is this repository of Legos? or matrix or dimensions and semantic objects created by at scale? Is it something like that?
uh, yeah, we all know that, yeah, I mean, there is, of course, a way to create those semantic objects with that scale, and that's
Hmm.
what we have been doing in the market. And now with
Yeah,
these innovations, we are also introducing a semantic modeling language that we can talk more. But um, just going back to its scale's vision, like again, Dave Mariano's vision from the first day was to democratize the data product creation for everyone. So, and
yeah,
he has achieved that by opening the metrics and dimensions to all of the BI tools. Today, we have hundreds of thousands of users who are using at scale with the universal semantic layer supported metric store, where the metrics and dimensions are consumed with the BI tool of the user's choice. So if I'm a finance user, I love to use Excel. I can
yeah.
actually analyze the metrics dimensions in Excel. If I'm a marketing person, I love using Click or Tableau, and I can use those BI tools. So this is what we already enable within organizations, and that's why all of our customers and users love using it at scale. But then, last fall, when we gathered in a room, we kind of
Yeah.
start thinking about like these two user groups that I mentioned, right? The data producers and data consumers. So
Right.
data consumers love at scale. So how we can gain the hearts of the data producers and let them use the tool of their choice to define their metrics and to define their semantic models. So as you know, like there's a big DBT community. There's a lot of users who are using DBT to create the metrics definitions. There's also Power BI community that they like to use Power BI to do semantic modeling, and there's also LookML and then that Looker community that used to do
Yeah.
using metrics. So and they all create metrics and dimensions. So our vision and the technology that we are working that we are going to release soon is really to create a universal semantic hub, and
Hmm.
this hub is an intelligent hub that can talk or speak the languages of the other semantic models and can serve all of the semantic models and metrics. So with
Hmm.
this, what does it mean for a DBT user? A DBT user can still continue to use DBT because they love using DBT to create the models and the metrics. But then with the integration that we are working on, they will be able to actually push those metrics to the repository and the hub. And then
Nice.
all of those metrics will become the part of the analytics mesh. And they will become a Lego building block for the business units to be able to use and create their own data products with governance being in place. So this is a
Wow.
super exciting time for us. We are not now only democratizing the insights for all the BI and AI consumers. Now we are also welcoming all of the data producers so that they can still continue to use the tool of their choice to do semantic modeling and metric definition. But then everything will come and merge at the uh, universal semantic hub of its scale.
No, I think this is huge that you've come up with the leap. So congrats to you and your team. Obviously, you all have worked hard to, obviously first understand the problems. But not only just that, also wanting to cater to not only just the consumers but also the producers. So which is amazing. Thanks for sharing all the details. So one quick follow up question. So how do you see the personas creating these semantic objects? Do you have something in mind that you can share?
Yeah, so again, coming back to what we have started, how we started our conversation,
Hmm.
there's many personas, data consumers, and data consumers, they may have different ways of creating semantic modeling.
Yeah.
Uh, some of them may like to use a code, or some may like to use non-code approach. So to create those Lego building blocks. So at scale, we have an awesome graphical user interface. If you are a more BI developer type of persona, and if you love to use a design canvas with all drag and drop to do your semantic modeling and metric creation of your metric store with dimensions and hierarchies and drill downs, we already have that. So, but now we are
Mhm.
also working our semantic modeling language, SML, that is going to actually welcome all of the other data producers who loves to use
Nice.
code, like YAML code, then they will be able to actually use SML to be able to do that. And the unique innovation, and I'm super excited about that, that graphical user interface or design canvas is going to work seamlessly with the SML, so that as a user, I can start my journey by using SML, the code based, and then at any point I can just switch back to the design canvas, continue to do my semantic modeling and metric definition in a more visual way. So we are super excited, Ravid. And I have to say, I love working with Dave, and also like our head of engineering. We have an awesome um, product team and engineering team. It's a
Yep.
true team effort to come to this point, and it's not easy what we are doing, because I think everyone in the market has struggled solving this problem. And we are super excited about this framework of analytics mesh and the technology that we are building that's going to enable that.
No, I think hats off definitely to what you coming up with, and looks like there are a lot of new innovations that are coming in from at scale, and it's a big ramp up in terms of the product and for also the users as well. And a big good news already looks like Christmas came in early for all the users of at scale. So happy about that, but. I'm definitely going to say that we've been seeing almost so many innovations since last 11 months in the Gen AI space. What do you think about it? How do you kind of connect the dots with at scale, and where do you think it's going in? How do you see the future in general? Would love to learn a little about that.
Yeah, great question, Ravid. I think when it comes to AI and machine learning, like it all comes to having the trusted data. So I think that's why we have spent a lot of time talking about how to make data more governed by providing the
Yeah.
business agility, right? That's why federated governance is so important. And the application of generative AI, now I'm seeing a huge interest from the analytics and business intelligence community to use generative AI and
You're right.
integrate large language models to enabling like really access to deeper insights from data. Many of the analytics BI companies are now investing into LLMs to kind of democratize the consumption of the insights and the data more. I think really generative AI is going to transform augmented analytic capabilities to make insights more accessible. Again, as I mentioned, and Rabbit, I spend a lot of time
Yeah.
in AI and analytics space. We have started our journey, 15 years ago. Why? It's all about manual creation of a visualization, and there is a huge documentation about how to best create the visualization to represent
Mhm.
two metrics, two measures, and two dimensions. Well, the answer is scatter plot. Like, those things now, generative AI, you will be able to say, hey, what's the best way of visualizing this data? And it will create the best visualization with the right color usage to generate that content. And I think with Gen AI, the content creation is going to go beyond the visualization. Like we will start seeing more automated created of data stories, because, as humans, we love stories. So we will see more like slide art representation of the insights that are more human and more understandable for the business users who may not have enough data literacy to kind of interpret a visualization. So I think this is a very exciting time for all the BI and analytics communities to start using generative AI with part of the technology. But I think one of the challenge, and this is where I see a huge overlap and the need for a strong metric store that is governed by a universal semantic layer with all of the right modeling capabilities, the performance cost optimization, and that the metric store will become a backbone for all of the analytics consumption, which has been the backbone. But now with
Yeah.
generative AI, it will become even like an absolute necessity for any analytics program to have a metric store. And because the reason is for that is, again, with Gen AI, we are going to see, more generation of insights, exploration, uh, exponential proliferation of analytics content, and that analytics sprawl is going to be like a orders of magnitude, and that will lead possible inconsistencies and the lack of single version truth. So I think, now for me, the BI will become the metric store, and then
Yeah.
the consumption could be, you can use your traditional BI tool, or that traditional BI tool will have generative AI capabilities, or there will be new vendors in the market with just using generative AI to create data stories, or to engage the users in different ways. So I think really the important things that we should start really thinking about, how you can have a robust metric store. So no matter what type of consumption means that your users are using, they always get a single version of truth.
Yeah, I love it. All these are such great and interesting insights that you've shared, Elif. In in the world of Gen AI, definitely there are a lot of changes that have a lot of developments. I would say are that are happening in the world of BI and analytics space. And all that you've shared is pretty interesting. I can't wait to see. But one last thing, obviously, our audience would love to know is where can they learn more about and follow the updates that are happening at scale, which is the best place. And if they also want to reach out to you, where can they reach out and learn more about the innovations about matrix store, semantic layer, analytics mesh, and all of these things?
Yeah, I'm very active on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is the best
Awesome.
place to reach out to me and to learn overall with that scale about that scale. The audience can visit our website. And also, Ravid, we have done an exciting tech talk with Dave
Okay.
and myself, where we actually expose those groundbreaking innovations with analytics,
Mhm.
the intelligent semantic hub, the DBT integration, where we have a public preview of that capability now that will come.
Nice.
And we released that tech talk on October 12th, and it's available on social media and, of course, on itscale.com as well. I highly suggest people to watch that. It's a short tech talk, and I think it's fun. Yeah, so again, we are super excited what we are doing, and we look forward to kind of, really embrace the data analytics community with the concept of analytics mesh. And really, again, just it comes back to the Lego building blocks, like
Yeah.
the business units to play well with the data, with governance, and enable them to innovate so that they can create their own data products. Is, it's a dream coming true, and we are going to enable that. So we are enabling that.
Absolutely, and can't wait. Definitely, I know it's on the YouTube as well, and also on the resources page. So I'll be sharing the link with all the folks who are attending, and they can watch the tech talk. It's always good to listen to you and Dave together. So it's a bonus for the audience to learn more about the space, about how the developments are happening in the space from YouTube. So I'll share the link with everyone. But once again, Elif, thanks for taking the time out. It is always such a pleasure to talk to you and learn about the space and how do you look at obviously the space not only just in general but also from a customer perspective, from enterprise leaders perspective, and you kind of make it easier for us to learn. But and definitely the innovations that you come up with, you, your team, obviously Dave is there, and everyone. So thanks once again for visiting the Rabbit Show.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me here, Rabbit. It's always a great pleasure talking to you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you everyone for attending the Rabbit Show. See you soon.